Hello there, welcome to CXC Math TV. Today in this video, we're going to go through a worksheet of exam style questions that you'll get in statistics. All right, so in previous videos, we'd have made explanation videos of the content of AdMath, but it's always good to do exam style questions. With that being said, let's begin. So this question here, it says a random sample of 67 students who own mobile phones was used to collect data on the amount of time spent per day on their phones. The results are displayed in the table below. And so we can see right here that some students spend 30 minutes, some spend 40, 50, 60, and 90 minutes per day. Now we all know this is capped because students spend more time on this on their phone, right? And so here are the number of students. We see workers that should have been students. So 6 students spend 30 minutes, 10 students spend 40 minutes, 18 spend 50, 32 spend 60, and 3 spend 90. That's very good. Not a lot of students spending too much time on their phone. But we know all of this is capped. But let's continue. It says now calculate estimates for the mean and the standard deviation for time spent on phones by the students. So we need to work out mean and the standard deviation. It's going to be 3 marks for the mean and 5 marks for the standard deviation. Now remember, how do we find mean again? To find mean is represented by bar x, and mean is equal to the sum of f times x divided by n. All right, nice. That's how we find mean. Now let's go back right here. All right. Now, we already know n from the question. N is 67. That's the amount of students that's participating in the random sample. All right. Now, what is this f times x? X is the variable that we're dealing with. In this case, it's the time spent on phone. That's going to be your x. And f is your frequency. How many students spend time on phone? These are frequency. So we're going to create a new column. And we're going to call that column fx. Under the column fx, we're going to work out each corresponding x times f value and place in this table. So of course, to do that, we're going to whip out our calculator. All right, sorry about the mark here. Let's erase this because this is not looking good. So let's erase this. All right, continuing. All right, so now we have f times x. As we said, we're just going to whip out our calculator because always have your calculator with you. Don't be doing these mental calculations, all right? We can always make a mistake mentally. So first we need to work out 30 times 6. We all know that's 180, so calculator not needed yet. 40 times 10, that's 400. 50 times 18, let's bring out the calculator. 50 multiplied by 18, that is 900. Now 32 times 60, we whip out the calculator again. 32 times 60, and we get 1,920. And then 3 times 90, that's 270. But we need the sum of this. The sum of f times x, you add all of these up. So let's add all of them now. So we have 180 plus 400 plus 900 plus 1,920 plus 270. Adding all of these, what we get is 3,670. Lovely, lovely, lovely. 3,670. So we know that the mean then is going to be 3,670 divided by n. What was n? N was 67. So we divide that by 67. You go ahead and put that in your calculator, and that is the mean. So we get 54.77. 54.77. So 54 point, let me just write 54.8. 54.8. All right, 54.8. And remember to put your units in, it's in minutes. It's 54.8 minutes. So that's the average time that these students spend on their cell phone. All right, what's the average time that you spend on your cell phone? All right. All right, now let's have a look right here. The next part is the standard deviation. Now, because this is group data, we need to remember the formula for working out standard deviation for group data. To work out standard deviation for group data, the formula is given by S is equal to, it's going to get hectic. It's the square root of the sum of f times x squared minus the sum of f times x, put a bracket around that square, divided by n all over n minus 1. I know it looks hectic, but it's very easy. The more you do math, the easier it becomes and the easier it is to remember. So it's the square root of the sum of fx squared minus the sum of f times x all squared divided by n, and then we divide what's in the numerator by n minus 1, and then we square root it. That's the formula for the standard deviation. But it's easy to calculate. Once you have you already have the column with f times x, so now we need a column for f times x squared. So we need a column for f times x squared. Let's work out f times x squared. We have x right here. So why not create a space for x squared? All right, 30 squared is 900, 40 squared is 1600, 50 squared is 2500, 60 squared is 3600, and 90 squared is 8100. Beautiful. Now, once you get those out of the way, we need fx squared, fx squared. So we need to multiply f times x squared. So 6 times 900, we know that is 5,400, I believe. But just to verify, we're going to bring up our calculator. It's always good to verify. All right, so I bring up the calculator here just to verify it. Okay, so 6 times 900. Yes, we're right. Now we need 1600 times 10. We know that one is easy. That is just 16,000. Now the next one is 2,500 times 18. 2,500 multiplied by 18. I know that's a big number. That's 45,000. And then we need 3,600 times 32. So 3,600 times 32. When we multiply those, we get 115,200. As some would say, 115,200. And then we have 8,100 times 3. All right. 8,100 multiplied by 3. That's 24,300. So down here is 24,300. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Nice. So we just need to add up all of these now. We need to add up fx squared. So let's add up fx squared. We have 5,400 plus 16,000 plus 45,000 plus 115,200 plus that's 24,300. So we add all of those. Wait, I made a blooper here. 24,300. We add them, we get the sum of fx squared is, that look like 200 and something thousand, 205,900. 205,900. Lovely. Once we get that now, this is going to be equal to the square root of 205,900 minus fx squared, the sum of fx squared. Remember, the sum of fx is 3,670, so it's 3,670 square divided by n. What was n? N is 67, and then we divide all of that by n minus 1, which is 66. So you just need to put this in a calculator, no worry. So you press the fraction button, So we have 205,900 minus, press the fraction button one more time. And in the numerator, it's 3670. And that's square divided by 67 all over n minus 166. All right, so we work that out. This is what we're getting so far, 73.81. But we're going to need to square root that because we didn't square root it yet, the square root of 73.81. So let's square root that. Square root answer, that's 8.59. 8.59. All right, so around here, all right, so S is equal to 8.59. And remember, time is in minutes. All right, so the standard deviation is 8.59 minutes. All right, so if you want to write it out in words, you can tell them that the mean time spent on phone by students is, and you tell them what was the mean time. The mean time was 54.8 minutes per day. All right, so that's out the way. And then the next part now is to tell them the standard deviation. And the next part now you'd say is the standard deviation is 8.59 minutes. All right, and that takes care of that right there. Lovely, 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 lovely. So this is very popular. They like to ask this in exam to work out mean and standard deviation. And they like to give you group data. All right, so this is a group data question. Lovely. So that's how you would find the mean and the standard deviation for the group data. Now, continuing the question, it says now compute the median and the mode of the time spent on the phone. Compute the median and the mode. We know what median is. Median is the number in the middle. So if you have 67 persons taking part, right, the median is going to be just about in the middle. So let's find the position of Q2. Remember, Q2 means median, and the position of Q2 is found by a half the n plus 1 term. Now, n in this case is 67. So Q2 is a half of 67 plus 1. 67 plus 1 is 68. 68 divided by 2 is 34. So it's a 34th term that is going to give us our median, the 34th term. Now, where is the 34th term located? Now, let's create a column right here, which is going to give us our cumulative frequency. All right. Now, if there are 6 right here, that's 6. So where there's 10 now, 10 plus 6 is 16. And if you add 18 right here, 18 plus 16 is what? 34. Ah, look at that. The 34th term would fall right in here. What I'm saying then is if you were to list them out, if you were to list out all 67 of them, you'd write for 6 persons, you'd write 36 times 30, 30, 30, 30, 30, 30. You'd write 40 10 times, and then you'd write 50 18 times. But the 34th term is going to be 18. The 34th, my apologies, the 34th term is going to be 50 because we write 50 18 times. All right, that's what I was trying to say right there. So therefore the median is 50. All right, so from this we can say the median time spent on phone is equal to 50 minutes. That's the median amount of time spent on phone. That's not too bad. 50 minutes, less than an hour a day by students. And that's 4 marks. The median is usually worth 4. So it's 2 marks now to find the mode. The mode is which one occurs most frequently. Most frequently, 32 students spend 60 minutes, most frequent. So you just write that the mode or the modal time spent, all right? So the mode time spent on phone is the mode time, that's 60 minutes. So we just write 60 minutes. Lovely, and that's the mode. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Nice, that's the mode. Okay. All right. Now the next part says compute the interquartile range of the time spent on phone by students. Now remember, how do we find interquartile range? Interquartile range is equal to Q3 minus Q1. In other words, the upper quartile minus the lower quartile, or minus lower quartile. All right, nice. We like to call the upper quartile Q3. The upper quartile, to find it, Q3 is given by 3/4 of the n plus 1 term. 3/4 of the n plus 1 term. N is 67. So 3/4 of 67 plus 1. We'll put that into our calculator. All right, it's always good when we use a calculator. You don't make any mistake. 3/4 of 67 plus 1. In the calculator, we are getting 51. So that's the 51th term. The 51th term. Where's the 51th term located? Right in here. How do I know that? Remember, we had already add up to here and said this is 34. So was it 34? Yes, this was 34. And so the 51th term definitely would have to be in here. All right, the 51th term would definitely have to be in here. All right, lovely. Now that we have that the 51th term is in there, let's continue. So the 51th term is here. So the Q3 is 60. Now we need to find Q1. So to find Q1, Q3 is 3/4. So Q1 is 1/4. All right. So Q1 is 1/4 of the n plus 1. And that's going to be 1/4 of 67 plus 1. 68 divided by 4, that's the 17th term. The 17th term is found where? The 17th term is found, let's check. The 17th term is found, this is 16, right in here, 50. All right, the 17th term is found in here, because 6 and 10, that is 16. So it's in here. The 17th term is in here. So in here, that's 50. So that's 60 minus 50, and 60 minus 50 is 10. So that's the interquartile range, 10 minutes. The interquartile range is 10 minutes. Nice. Let's see what else they're going to ask us about this here. They say, hence, briefly, comment on the times students spend on their phone. So when you say 3 marks, I just want you to make like a general comment on what you've been observing. And just to make a general comment, let's write down what we had computed. We had computed that the mean time spent on phone, we'll go all the way back around here. The mean time was 54.8 minutes and the median was 50 minutes. So the mean is 54.8 minutes. And the median we got was 50 minutes. All right. What else can we like to talk about when we're describing? We like to, these are both what? Measures of central tendencies. So then we need to talk about something that's going to be measure of spread. So in this case, we can talk about the standard deviation. The standard deviation we had calculated was 8.59, right? So let's now comment briefly on the time spent on phone. So we can say, on average, students spent between 50 to 55 minutes on their phone. Why can I say between 50 to 55? Because the mean is 54.8, the median is 50 minutes, all right, and the mode is 60, all right? The mean, median, mode, all around the same place. If you were to look at 50, 55, and 60 and average that, that would give you the average central tendency. The average central tendency in this case would be 55. So we can say on average, students spend between 50 to 55, and you could even go as far as say between 50 to 60 minutes. So on average, students spend between 50 to 55 minutes on their phone per day. All right, per day. Lovely, 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 per day. Nice. All right. Now we need to talk about the standard deviation. That would get us 2 marks. We need 1 more mark now. The final mark, the final icing on our cake. Remember that standard deviation is a measure of how much each value deviates from the mean. All right. So in this case, we can now say that each student time spent on the phone on average deviated from the mean by 8.59 minutes. And that would be that. Nice. On average, deviate from the mean by 8.59 minutes. And that would be that right there. So this would conclude this question. This question is just a typical exam style question where they give you group data and ask you to work out mean, median, standard deviation, easy stuff. That's how you would do this question. Very nice.